All right, we are rolling. We are live. We are here. So, if all goes to plan, this should be the first podcast that you are seeing on my brand new podcast show, Head to Head with Sam Gibson. Now, the purpose of this podcast, it started off just me wanting to get my clients on because I've got an online coaching program where I help people overcome their relationship with food, eliminate binge eating, get a handle on their anxiety, just create the life that they want to live. That's what I help people do. But then it kind of snowballed into, well, we can turn this into a separate thing. Yeah, so I'm going to have clients on this show who I've worked with inside of my coaching program. I'm going to have guests who I have connected with, who I think have got a good story to tell, who I think can provide some kind of quality conversations. And that's what I see podcasting as. I see podcasting as just someone who's got something valuable that they want to spread a message and they want to have a quality conversation that hopefully someone can listen to and they can get something from. I'm very inspired by podcasts myself. I listen to a fair few and I really enjoy them, and I thought, you know what it is, I want to recreate mine. And it's not just going to be talking about things involved in my business and what I do for a career and how I help people. It's just going to be conversations about life, So however you got here, whether you've listened to my book, because I am an author of an audiobook, How to Stop Binge Eating and Finally Get in Shape. It's had thousands and thousands of downloads. It's free to download. I'm sure I'll be putting the links to that in the description of this podcast and everywhere else across my website and such. But maybe you've listened to my audiobook. Maybe you followed it on social media. Maybe you were actually one of my clients, because I've actually worked with about 1,000 people, very close to 1,000. I don't know the exact number. It must be close to 1,000. 1,000 people from 9 different countries so far, inside of my coaching programs, inside of Limitless Training, which is my coaching business that I've had, I want to say 5 years, but really it's only been 3 that I've been doing it full time. And, part of what I want to talk about today is introducing myself, what I'm about, how I help people, the kind of clients I work with, what results they get, but just also the direction of where I'm going to take this podcast in the future, because I'm hoping it snowballs into something wonderful, into something that provides a lot of value. So if all goes to plan, for whatever reason, you would have found me on my audiobook, you would have found me on YouTube, you would have found me on social media, but regardless of how you got here, this should be the first episode in this brand new podcast series. So this episode is just me, got no guests. I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give you guys a chance to see my personality, to see what I'm all about, to understand, well, am I going to be giving you a message that you can relate to, that you can learn from, or am I not? And I like to use this method called the Marmite method. Everyone knows what Marmite is. Yeah, people love it or people hate it. People say that, it's like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. Well, that's what I consider myself as. I like the Marmite method. I use it within my business. I use it with my personality. I'm like, you know what it is? I'm authentic. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be truthful, and I'm confident in my abilities to do that. So I'm going to put myself out there, the version of me that I think is most valuable, in my own opinion. And if people don't like it, that's cool. They don't have to like me, and I'm all right with that. But if people love it, hey, I'm going to help them. So this is what this is all about. I'm just going to put out my authenticity. I'm going to put out my story, because I do believe I've got a good story to tell. Like I say, I've been coaching people on and off since 2012 in some degree. And it started off as just a personal trainer helping people get in shape. And they were just my mates. I was always the guy who was in shape. I remember being 14-year-old, getting changed in PE, and the teacher was like, holy shit. Well, he didn't say holy shit. You can imagine teachers don't swear, but he was like, wow, you've been lifting weights, Sam? And I'm like, no. He was like, you look jacked. And I was thinking at, the age of 14, like, I haven't lifted any weights. What happens if I started lifting weights? So I was always the guy who was just genetically in shape. I was jacked at a young age without even training. So all of my mates kind of gravitated towards me. Sam, you should help us do the gym plan. You should help us with diets. And of course, I was inspired by it. So I think what started my fascination with personal training was actually that conversation with the teacher when he was saying, wow, Sam, you look like you should be doing you should be doing some fighting or some sport or something. I was playing football, but it's not really physical. And that's when I started thinking, wow, imagine what I could look like if I lifted weights. And I remember when I was 15, I watched Pump and Iron, which is a documentary from Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 70s. It's like to do with bodybuilding. And ever since then, I was absolutely hooked on going to the gym. And I would say for the next 8-9 years, I was totally obsessed with bodybuilding, with fitness, with helping people get in shape. And that's kind of my backstory, So since 2012-ish time, when I was about 17 or 18, I'm 26 now, I've been coaching people at some degree since then. The coaching that I do now, like I say, I've worked with over 1,000 people from 9 different countries. I've got a coaching program with various coaching business with various different coaching programs, and I work with roughly between 80 to 100 people one-to-one at any given time. And I'm looking to work with more people very, very soon with this new program I've got coming out, which I'm sure I'll be telling you all about. But for right now, I've got about 100 one-to-one clients. So it's quite a big business. It's going very well, but I didn't start off like that. I started off very, very small. I started off just with a hobby. Yeah, a hobby, that was it. And then my transition from it being a hobby, to something that I really struggled at, to be honest, to something that's transitioned into this big business where I employ 3 people now, including myself, and work with 100 people worldwide. It's crazy, and I've got a lot to tell in that time, both good, both bad, all the mistakes I made, all the life-changing things that I've done, not just for myself, but showing people how they can replicate that themselves. It's, I could write a book. I've already done a book, but I could write an actual book, about my journey since I left school and started my transition into becoming an adult, and I've done trainings before, I've done podcasts before where I've talked about that stage from leaving school and being a child to kind of discovering who you are as an adult. That's a potentially dangerous time because not a lot of adults lead by example. And I work with a bunch of young people who are struggling to find their identity. And I can see that in them because I saw that in myself. I really struggled to find my identity. It wasn't until my early 20s that I kind of realized, hang on, this is what I want to do with my life. This is how I should act. This is right. This is wrong. This is a part of my personality that I don't like. This is a part of my personality that I do like. These are my, toxic traits. And I use those with quotation marks because really there's no such thing as toxic traits. That's just traits. We're humans. We own every single trait. We have the potential to experience any trait and any personality and any emotion. It's about which ones we allow to come to the surface. If anyone's ever listened to Eckhart Tolle, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, The Power of Now, he talks about these sub-personalities. Everyone's got them. We've got these little things inside of us, these traits that will come out at any given circumstance. And I think what I was struggling with was finding out my identity. Like, who was I? What parts of my personality did I want to come to the surface to present to the world, And like I say, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also done a lot of good. I really do believe that. And I've got a good story to tell. So this podcast in the future, including this episode and future episodes, it's about spreading. I mean, it sounds very cliche, spreading positivity. That's what I mean by that. And what I mean by positivity is it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be things that are all happy and fine and rosy. Sometimes positivity is actually talking about adversity, talking about overcoming adversity, talking about what you did wrong and owning up to it. And I'll be talking about some home truths today in this next half an hour or so as I'm introducing my podcast.